What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Unofficial Opinion Podcast and Video Show. I'm your host, Down South Don, and today we have.
Justy.
All right, and so basically, we have the topic today, and today's topic is we are discussing what have you learned from the recent power outages and winter storm that just passed within this month. So, for those who don't know, the Unofficial Opinion Podcast is where we discuss general topics and allow the public to call in and voice your opinion. So,
Usually.
yeah, usually. But today, being our first show, like to say that we're going to discuss this topic and let's get into it. Let's go.
Let's go.
So, something that I have learned from this recent topic, the storm itself, Texas is not used to snow. So, of course, well, let's just say northern Texas is used to snow. The southern part of Texas, anything below Dallas, normally doesn't see snow, and it's been quite hectic for us because the roads are usually not treated. We don't pour salt on the road normally because it ruins the roads and the concrete. And most people don't know how to drive. I mean, they can barely drive in 5 o'clock traffic. So we are located in Houston, Texas, and yeah, we just not used to it. So as soon as it freezes on the road, then normally everything shuts down from schools to
Completely.
yeah. If anything public is normally the first thing to go, it's normally shut down. So something that I want to say that most people should probably get from here is to maintain your vehicle and having enough tread on your tires to actually be able to maneuver if you have to. Because if, for instance, when the power went out here in Houston, uh, you know, if you don't have a vehicle that can actually maintain or get through the snow or catch enough traction, preferably 4-wheel drive, with meat on your tires, then you're going to have an issue. You're probably normally stuck wherever you are or have to get a family member to actually come get you out of that situation.
For example, what type of vehicles?
Ah, well, a Jeep for one.
Always a Jeep.
Yeah. So a Jeep is normally the vehicle of choice. And the reason I say that is because you're looking at 4-wheel drive, optional. The traction is distributed 50-50. And that's one of the biggest things. Now, of course, people say, oh, what about pickup trucks? Pickup trucks, weight is not distributed, evenly. It just not. I mean, there's no hate on pickup trucks. Pickup trucks are great for what its purpose is to haul things. So the motor and whatnot, everything being up front and there's no weight in the back, then you're not going to really just catch that much traction. Not to say that it can't be done, but it is what it is.
We
So
have
you
a lot of Texas pickup truck people
pickup
who
truck.
would disagree with you. Pickup truck.
Yeah. And like I said, don't get me wrong, not hating on pickups or anything. It's just that you can't do what the Jeep can do, period. And we're going to leave it at that. You can't go the routes that a Jeep can do. You can't climb the way a Jeep can climb. It's just a known fact. Even in muddy territory, you just can't do it. You can't follow a Jeep. Anyway.
I must admit, during that time when we went out, it was pretty much all Jeeps that were driving.
Yeah, true.
And even we had some admirers, like the cops who were out, of course.
Yeah.
They were like, that looks like a better option.
Yeah, because even the cops are afraid to get, stranded somewhere. So, and a Jeep probably would have been the one to pull them out. Normally, when it floods here in Texas, that's normally who you see pulling people out. Even at the beach, most cars, trucks get stranded. It's normally the Jeep to pull them out or some type of 4-wheeler.
Water.
Yeah.
Not
so,
frozen.
so let's talk about as far as prepping yourself for heat. Most people that we did have some people perish during this time, and they perished because they turned their heaters on mainly their stove, and they tried to, heat the house with the stove going. Those who had gas, instead of just electric. Of course, if they didn't have gas, then they would have froze either way. But for those that caused fires or the heat, the gas that expelled, within the carbon monoxide, basically, that expelled within the house, then those people, they perished because they didn't have enough ventilation. And you definitely need that ventilation no matter what. Even if it's cold outside, crack a window and you can kind of sustain your heat. Even though you can't truly sustain and enclose the heat, you definitely have to ventilate so you can get that carbon dioxide out of the house. And for the people that actually ran their vehicle and didn't open the garage,
they didn't think they could.
I mean, that was just ridiculous. Even if you couldn't even crack your garage, which you have a quick release on just about every garage, that's a safety feature. Pull that tab or that string, raise the garage, put a can up under it just enough to have enough ventilation so that carbon monoxide can escape. And they didn't do that.
No.
And it caused the whole family, I think it was
two people.
Yeah, the mother and the daughter that was sitting in the car to get warm.
Well, the mom was in the car. The exhaust went through the house.
Yeah.
And it made everyone sick.
Yeah, but the two people in the car died because they were closest.
Well, the daughter was in the house.
No. It was the son in the house. It was the father and the son inside the house.
Okay.
And the mother and the daughter was in the car. So.
Well, the son was in critical condition, so
yes.
It went through the house.
Oh, of course. But once again, due to poor ventilation, that's an issue. And some people actually, start like butane fires. If you have like the Mr. Buddy heater that takes the propane, the little green cans, or the large, one that you may get from wherever where you have to exchange the gas. I think that's like the 5-pound bottle or whatever, 10-pound. And they didn't, some people actually ran those in their house, but you have to have ventilation with these type of, anytime you're running gas, you have to have some type of ventilation. But the other option would have been a sleeping bag. I think everybody should actually own a sleeping bag, no matter what. One of my reasons for doing so, when I go to a hotel, I don't like sleeping in the hotel sheets. This is just me. So I always bring my sleeping bag. And
what do you think's gonna happen?
Well, bed bugs, number one.
Well, I mean, they can get on your sleeping bag and you can take them home.
Well, that's fine if you get on the outside of the sleeping bag. And normally the material that's the sleeping bag is made out of, they don't penetrate the same way because of this tight mesh nylon. Now, yeah, you should probably shake your linen or whatever, or your sleeping bag before you leave. But I mean, that's just my preference. I don't like getting on gooey sheets because sometimes they don't change the sheets. So it is what it is. I mean, you don't know who's been on those sheets, and
bring a black light.
Yeah,
people.
I mean, why even do that? Just don't pull
Just
the sheets
don't get
back.
In the sheet.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't care how expensive the hotel is or how much you pay for your room. It's basically left to the mercy of the cleaning lady. Trusting her that she did what she was supposed to do. Anyway,
it's the most interesting thing to me that there are people who camp in these like freezing conditions all the time. People who climb mountains, they're always out there, and they have everything they need to survive.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then people need to have all that too. I mean,
the average person don't think like that, and that's the problem. Some people are not outdoorsy, and I think that's probably part of the biggest issue is they're not outdoor people. So when climate reaches a certain temperature, then they don't know how to respond, and I think that's a big issue. And I think what people should have learned from this situation is to actually bring yourself out of your shell and try some things that you haven't done before. Just that simple. Start going camping.
To be fair, it is rare.
Yeah.
Very rare.
And
in Houston anyways.
right. And for those, even if you travel, you get caught in some place that you normally, don't live in that climate, you should always have those preventative measures, especially the clothes, the proper clothes, thermals or whichever, because a lot of things that could have been avoided, like the hypothermia that kicks in for those that not freezer burn,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean, like people
That little boy died of exposure in his
right,
house.
and
8 years old.
and a lot of times it's just as cold in the house as it is outside, even if you don't have the heat on. So if you don't have something that actually protects yourself, a good pair of heated socks, heated gloves, yes, the average person don't have that, but you need to kind of like get yourself prepared.
To be fair, you ride motorcycles.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
your hat
obvious. Yeah.
blends.
So with that being said, I do have battery operated heated socks, which last pretty much all night, and heated gloves. Sometimes we, wear heated vest to ride a motorcycle because you might get caught in a state that may be below freezing or right around freezing. Even during, like, say for instance, California gets cold at night, Nevada. You just never know how far those temperatures may drop, even if it may be in springtime. So just have to be prepared. That's what it is.
Another thing, when you're talking about all these battery operated things, you need something that's going to charge those things when there's no power.
Right. So that brings us to solar. Let's just say, for instance, you have the smaller battery packs that actually has the solar attached to it. I think everybody should probably own one of those. That helps big time. And you can also use it as a battery jumper for your vehicle. So it has different attachments, and you just plug that in. And right now, I think you can get them from pretty much anywhere, whether it be Amazon, doesn't matter. And instead of it prevents you from having to, number one, ask somebody, hey, you got jumper cables, jump yourself. So this boils down to you being self-reliant and cuts down on all the need other people, because people are not as friendly as they used to be nowadays. And
it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, and most people kind of on edge sometime.
They don't want to get close. It's still
it's still going through it. Yeah, that Rona still going around.
That thing.
And it affects to where people want to interact with you or not. So to be more self-reliant, just get yourself prepared and get your own battery jumper. And they're like, I think they started like $50 on average, for a decent one. And I guess for something that has more milliamps or has more charging power or jumping power, then you should probably get something with a higher cranking amp. But anyway, that's enough on that. So,
and also a power bank. Did you mention that?
Basically that's what that is.
Well, there's a jumper.
Well, the jumper is a power bank. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Exactly the same thing. And
two different ones.
Well, yeah, but the jumper is a 2-in-1, basically. You can utilize the 2-in-1 and use it as a power bank as well. Or you can just go buy a power bank. I say go buy the jumper / power bank. 2-in-1, 3-in-1, whatever it may be.
Oh, the one that you can charge with your car? You talking about that one?
You can charge the battery jumper in your car, in your house. It doesn't matter.
Right, but when the power goes out, that's something that you might be able to charge in your car. And when you need to charge your phone or your small little electronics, can't you do that?
It's the same thing. Exact same thing. Only difference between this one is that you can actually plug jumper cable attachment to it. That's it. Other than that, a regular battery jumper doesn't have, not jumper, actual just plain power bank